that kind of groove. So, okay, setup wise, I say very good from the stuff we talked about last time. Obviously, you'd see more from face on what we were looking at, obviously that lowercase y and everything else. But yeah, in a good start position. I think grip pressure would be a little bit tight on occasions, okay?
Yeah.
The issue we had for you was this leg on the way back got very aggressive and sort of straightened very, very quickly. Because the leg was sort of snapping back, the hands and arms now are doing a lot of the movement. So sort of halfway back when the club head and the hands are kind of level, if there was a wall behind you, you just smash straight through it. The left, back of the left hand now, which is sort of facing the sky, you're basically rolling your forearm excessively with a lot of lower half movement, okay? Now, at this position now, that would basically result in, if nothing else changed, the ball going way over there. You're way open, way on the inside. So you've got to kind of recover that, which you do, but by how much you recover will depend on whether it goes kind of straight to target or over there somewhere. And you're not going to really know from shot to shot which one you're going to get, okay? So the club then goes up there now. You then got to start almost like lifting the body there now. So the knee starts sort of squatting forward to try and get the club. Your head has this sort of twisted position. And now you come back at a very, very different angle to what you started. So you never really know where that club is until the moment of impact, and you go, oh, it was pretty good, or oh dear, it wasn't pretty good, yeah? And that's where that inconsistency is going to come from. So if we look at that sort of takeaway position that you had, this now kind of the rehearsal move you're doing, you can see here now, that was pretty good, yeah? So if we had the stick on the leg there, it would have probably come off a little bit, but it's certainly a lot better than where we are over there, okay? So it looks a lot more neater. Your lower half hasn't kind of snapped back as much as it was on the left-hand one. There you sort of see the daylight there between your legs is minimal, where there you could drive your car through that gap there, okay? So keeping that a little... And again, I'm not saying for 1 second don't move your legs. Your legs are going to move, but they kind of move as a result of your top half kind of moving the club away. If you try and snap the leg back to try and initiate the movement, they're not now doing the job they should be, okay? So rehearse this movement here now. I think just sort of 3 or 4 of these are very, very good. Again, there you go, that's a much better one. There you see that was probably more on line with the left leg there, okay? And you see your wrists now are hinging up. That was not bad. I mean, okay, compared to what it was a massive improvement, but it wasn't one of your better ones in terms of the 3. But again, in that window we're trying to do. So once you've done that sort of 3 or 4 times, then step away, have a sort of a feel. Now when you get to the golf ball, you've got to find your own feel, trigger word or whatever. Try not to, you can't think of nothing. Because if you think of nothing, it's going to be a disaster. You've got to think of something, but you don't want to think of 25 things. It's got to be, okay, right, for me, it could be now, I think maybe top half, take the club away, or just hand it to someone to your right, or a feel or a trigger you can kind of rely on the golf course, which when you do in this case, as the club goes back, we'll see the club not quite as good as the practice, which is to be expected, okay? So the club head now here going back, like a frame. There's your takeaway now. So legs are gone a little bit more, which again, like I say, is to be expected. Club head now, not in a bad spot there, but then the stick would be a bit off your left leg. But in terms of kind of your ability now to hinge that club, look at the wrangle of that club there now as you go up compared to what it was on that one. The hands are level with the chest. I mean, that club's way behind you, way flat, a lot of leg movement. So because the club's gone up now on that better angle here, it can now come back down on the same sort of angle. So at least now it's like hammering a nail into a bit of wood. You wouldn't want to go and you just go up and down on a single-ish plane. So if the club can kind of work up and down on a kind of a single plane, at least you've got an element of consistency coming from there, okay? So if that green line sort of represents the shaft there, you can see pretty much when it gets on line there, pretty good. Now as you come back to the golf ball, as you come back down, you're back down on that green line. Then when you come back into the golf ball, you're back on line with the green line. When you go through, not bad. Whereas this one here now, as we can see, where if we draw a sort of similar line through there, you're nowhere near that line there. Then you've got to try and pick it up there. So at this point now, you're a bit underneath it, okay? Now you're over it, and then you're sort of just about trying to get back on the last second, but the result in doing so is not going to be as a consistent move, okay? So in sort of summary, I think the main focus for you is going to be that takeaway. Focus more on the top half moving, The club goes back as a result of your torso turning and your wrist hinging. You tended to not move your torso, snap your right leg and roll your arms. So
I think one of the things I've been doing is thinking not so much my chest, because I'm thinking, all right, my legs are going to stay forward, and that's when I'm not going to get the rotation through. So I've been thinking about my hips more so than the top of my body. Which
I suppose in some ways is a good thing, because you are doing then what you think you should be doing, but what you think you should be doing is not what we should be doing. So at least it knows if we see someone who's, and a lot of people say that, say, okay, I'd rather you say, I've been trying to move this, because then you are doing what you're trying to do. So at least then if we say, okay, let's do this, you'll be able to adapt a lot quicker. A lot of people go, I'm not trying to do that. Now we're in trouble, because if they're not trying to do it and they are doing it, they're going to find it hard to change, okay? So at least your body can be more responsive to that sort of instruction and say, okay, right, I'm going to stand here now. Again, just practice that at home with the alignment stick. Yes, the lower half moves, but it's doing so with the torso being a little bit taller and a bit more dominant up here, as opposed to kind of snapping and losing the height. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okie dokie, makes sense.
Yeah.
Let's have a couple more then, mate. See if we can get back into that groove you were kind of getting on. Okay.